the universal study of political economy that typifies the works of Smith, List, Marx, and others of their time was slowly darkened in the late 19th century by a group of more narrowly focused and methodologically conventional disciplines, each of which sought to throw light on particular elements of society, inevitably at the expense of a broader view of social interactions. By 1890, when English neoclassical economist Alfred Marshall published his textbook on the principles of economics, political economy as a distinct academic field had been essentially substituted in universities by the separate disciplines of economics, sociology, political science, and international relations. Marshall clearly separated his subject, economics or economic science, from political economy, implicitly privileging the former over the latter, an act that revealed the general academic trend towards specialization along methodological lines. In the second half of the 20th century, as the social sciences became increasingly abstract, formal, and specialized in both focus and methodology, political economy was revitalized to provide a comprehensive framework to understand complex national and international problems and events. Presently, the field of political economy embraces several areas of study, including the politics of economic relations, domestic political and economic issues, the comparative study of political and economic systems, and international political economy. The advent of international political economy, first within international relations and later as a distinct field of inquiry, marked the return of political economy to its ancestries as a holistic study of individuals, states, markets, and civilization. Comparative political economy examines the interactions between the state, markets, and society, both national and international. Both empirical and normative, it employs modern analytic tools and methodologies in its studies. Rational choice theorists analyze individual behavior and even the policies of states in terms of maximizing benefits and minimizing costs, and public choice theorists focus on how policy choices are formed or controlled by incentives built into the routines of public and private organizations. Modeling techniques modified from econometrics are often applied to many different political economic questions. Political economists try to understand domestic macroeconomic policy, often study the influence of political institutions such as legislatures, executives, and judiciaries, and the implementation of public policy by administrative agencies. The influence of political and societal actors such as interest groups, political parties, churches, elections, and the media, and ideologies like democracy, fascism, or communism is also evaluated. Comparative analysis also considers the extent to which international political and economic conditions increasingly distorted in the line between domestic and foreign policies in different countries. For example, in many countries trade policy no longer reproduces strictly domestic objectives but also takes into account the trade policies of other governments and the directives of international financial institutions. In present time, there is a focus on modeling economic policy and political institutions as to interactions between agents and economic and political institutions, including the seeming inconsistency of economic policy and economists' recommendations from the perspective of transaction costs. From the mid-1990s, the field has extended, in part aided by new cross-national data sets that allowed tests of hypotheses on comparative economic systems and institutions. Themes have included the breakup of nations, the origins and rate of change of political institutions in relation to economic growth, development, backwardness, reform, and transition economies, the role of culture, ethnicity, and gender in explaining economic outcomes, macroeconomic policy, the environment, fairness, and the relation of constitutions to economic policy, theoretical and empirical. New political economy may study economic philosophies as the phenomenon to explain, as per the traditions of Marxian political economy. Charles S. Mayer recommends that a political economy approach interrogates economic doctrines to disclose their sociological and political premises. In sum, it regards economic ideas and behavior not as frameworks for analysis, but as beliefs and actions that must themselves be explained. Mayer, Charles S. Closing parenthesis. This approach notifies Andrew Gamble's The Free Economy and the Strong State, and Colin Hayes' The Political Economy of New Labour. It also enlightens work published in New Political Economy, an international journal founded by Sheffield University scholars in 1996. International political economy is an interdisciplinary field encompassing approaches to the actions of various players. In the United States, These approaches are related with the journal International Organization, which in the 1970s became the leading journal of international political economy under the editorship of Robert Keohane, Peter J. Katzenstein, and Stephen Krasner. They are also allied with the journal The Review of International Political Economy. There also is a more critical school of international political economy, encouraged by philosophers such as Antonio Gramsci and Karl Polanyi, and two major figures are Matthew Watson and Robert W. Cox. Currently, political economy is elucidated as very different philosophy, including Marxian analysis, applied public choice approaches emanating from the Chicago School and the Virginia School, or simply the advice given by economists to the government or public on general economic policy or on specific proposals. A speedily growing mainstream literature from the 1970s has stretched beyond the model of economic policy in which planners maximize utility of a representative individual toward examining how political forces affect the choice of economic policies, especially as to distributional conflicts and political institutions.